am so proud to say that this man is an Emmy Award winning broadcaster. And his work on CBS Sports on the NFL Today, as well as, of course, Good Morning Football, merits him being the best studio analyst for 2020. He is Nate Burleson here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Nate?
I'm good, my brother. I appreciate that introduction.
Of course.
It still sounds surreal every time I hear that. So thank you, though.
Of course.
Now that I have you, I appreciate you, man. One of the first people that I met when I went to the NFL Network back in 2003 for the first time. It was you, and you've been in my corner ever since. So I appreciate our friendship.
Well, Nate, that's part of the reason why I want to, have you on and talk about this because, you came on when you were playing. Were you with the Lions, the Vikings? What were you on? Who were you with in 03?
I was with the Vikings at the time.
Okay.
Back in 2003, yeah.
Right, and you just decided, and we were reaching out to NFL players with a voice, a personality, with smarts, and with the desire to do the job. And invite them into our studio as much as possible. And I remember you were up to the task and having fun and standing out. And if I had told you that day you were going to be an Emmy Award winner one day, what would you have told me, Nate Burleson?
I would have told you were lying because I didn't think I was going into TV at all. Once I got done playing, I was thankful that, I made decent money and I took care of it. Proper investment. So going into TV was something I did because I really enjoyed speech communications in college. So I knew that I would be using my voice in some form or fashion. A lot of guys go into coaching, maybe motivational speaking. But once I went to the NFL Network back in 2003, I realized that it was unique in the sense that not only were the hosts different than every other network, but the players were able to come in and not be placed in a box. We all had a chance, if we wanted to work at the craft of being on TV, but most importantly, show our personality. And over the years, I've been able to take pieces of all of the individuals that I've seen sit at those tables, and obviously you being one of the main guys. So, I look at life like I used to look at football. Mm-hmm. There's certain people that you can sit back and watch from a distance, and if you're blessed enough, they'll drop some gems on you. And a lot of people at the NFL Network helped me get to where I am right now.
Well, and it's not just that too, Nate. And then we'll move on and talk some football. But you take a look at the television landscape, certainly in the NFL for sure. I think it's true of basketball as well. You've got to have like a gold jacket or a bust to break through, to just get started, and that is not what you have in your football resume. But did you run into any of those roadblocks at all that as you're building your brand and building your career? Did that ever hit you at all?
For sure. Yeah. Once I left the game, I was told if you have a ring or a gold jacket, you'll have a better opportunity to find a seat at any network. And then it's from there, you have to put in the work to keep it. Now, I knew when I left the game, I didn't have either. 11-year career, respected by my peers, fine. But I'm not going to walk into a network and get the same type of response that a Deion Sanders, and Michael Lever, and Marshall Faulk is going to get. So what did I do early on in my career as an analyst and a broadcaster? I tried to do as much as I can. I paid attention to what the host was doing. I tried to read the teleprompter while they were reading it. I was focused on all the little things. So I didn't look like your typical athlete talking about the sport. And I did everything from digital to pregame, postgame. I did halftimes. When somebody couldn't show up, I filled in. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the biggest things I did, it's a very small thing, but one of my mentors, he was like, look, I know you're a ball player and a wide receiver at that. You love to stand out. You're a diva. But chill out with the loud suits, bro. Like you're like Steve Harvey in the Kings of Comedy days. Like, chill out with the loud suits and take off some of the jewelry because you're eloquent, you're articulate, you're actually saying something. But if you have a big ring on and big earrings and you're wearing a chain, then it could be quite distracting. I remember that day, I changed the way that I looked because I did want people to pay attention to what I was saying.
Huh. And it's interesting. I didn't have that, when I got started with, chains or the way I looked. It was the jokes that I constantly did on SportsCenter. It was a 100% nonstop joke fest for me. I mean, I was a stand-up comic in college, Nate.
Of course.
And so I had to pull back in terms of everything being a gag. Like I had to pull back on that so what I was saying would get through. And that is a key to, getting to where you want to get in this business. And now,
Rich, do you feel like after kind of earning your spot and then earning the respect and then really solidifying yourself as one of the biggest voices in all of sports, do you feel like you could tap back into that later? Because I do feel like now I can tap back into those spaces where
yes.
I want to dress a little bit more fashionably or even wear my hair a little bit more stylish. I can embrace certain things that maybe I couldn't do early on.
Damn straight. Absolutely. Nobody's telling me you joke too much now. I mean, and you've established yourself and, and now it's terrific. I do look forward to seeing what you do next and what you want to do. And, and in terms of, being able to give you advice on all of that, you tell me. I've never won. So you tell me, Nate.
Well,
I'm 0 for 6. I'm 0 for 6, so you'll have to inform me, okay? I've never.
They're trying to ice you out like they did Leonardo DiCaprio, man.
Yeah.
We got to get you one. Here's the thing. I would have assumed before this conversation
yes.
that you got 5 of those things.
No, very much not. So basically you're telling me I've got to start working with Scorsese. I don't know if he's going to do anything with NFL Network.
You got to wrestle a bear like Leo did. You got to do something.
Well, in the meantime, I've just got the Chicago Bears to just lean back on.
There we go.
There you go.
That's why you deserve it.
Nate Burleson here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so what do you think is going on in Green Bay? What they're thinking in that locker room right now, Nate? What do you think's happening there?
I originally said this is much to do about nothing. I said, you know what? Aaron Rodgers is going to be there. As soon as the season ends, he's a little frustrated, but he's going to come to his senses. He's going to show up because he knows that being there for his teammates is much more important than this little rift that he might have with the front office. Now, as the weeks go on, and I see Aaron Rodgers not talking in the media, he's not responding to everything that the fans are saying, and the team is moving on without him right now, I do believe that my tune has changed on it a little bit. I still feel like Aaron Rodgers doesn't have too many options. I think the best place, we're all thinking, right, is Denver because they have a good young nucleus of wide receivers. Courtland Sutton is going to be back. You have some beast at running back, and that defense, it should be as strong as it used to be. So if that's the case, then Aaron Rodgers could end up there. But if that isn't a deal that's going down, name another place. Every other place is pretty much solidified with their quarterback. Now, would a team shift their quarterback room to invite Aaron Rodgers in? For sure. No doubt about it. But I don't think that Aaron Rodgers, at the end of him sitting down with himself, looking in a mirror reflection, then asking, do I want to go somewhere else and reestablish myself as the best quarterback and one of the best to ever play the game? I know we all couldn't imagine Tom Brady playing somewhere else, and he went to Tampa and pulled what I think is the greatest move in all of sports. At his age, leaving a place like New England and winning in Tampa, of all places, I'm not sure Aaron Rodgers is thinking to himself, I could do the same thing. Even though he is younger, faster, maybe a bigger arm than Tom Brady at this point in his career, it's just, I feel like there's a little bit of luck involved. And everything has to go right, just like it did for Tom Brady. Now, to answer your question about what guys are thinking in the locker room, I remember Devontae Adams initially came out, this was months ago, and he said, well, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't come back, I'm going to have to seriously consider things around here. And it was a little bit of a broad statement, but once you actually show up and then you start thinking about your own pockets, that's when reality sets in. I know that the team is sitting back saying, hey, Rod, show up. What are you doing? we all love you. We praise you. You're one of the top paid quarterbacks in the NFL. You're paid to deal with the BS. You're paid to deal with the frustration.
Mm-hmm.
You're paid to make sure that the rest of the locker room is all on board. And I said that on the show, so I'm not sitting there as a former player acting like I've never been in position and I'm sticking my nose in Aaron Rodgers' business. Aaron Rodgers knows I love him. I say it all the time. I wish I played with him, and he lit my teams up. I saw greatness firsthand when he was out there. One of the smoothest quarterbacks to effortlessly pick apart my defense. But when it comes to him playing right now and the amount of money he has, I feel like he just has to get out his feelings and get his butt into the facility.
Yeah.
Have a face-to-face with everybody in the organization and say, give me more control on some of these decisions, because year in and year out, you guys aren't making the right one.
And I think you touched on something, Nate, where Nate Burleson here on the Rich Eisen Show is just that, you know, what is the alternative? Like, if he does say he doesn't want to go back there again, where would he go? You know, and it's got to be in the AFC. Even he has to understand it's going to have to be in the AFC, even if he does push it. Although we did have Rob Demoski, who covers the team for ESPN, on the show yesterday, and he's like, there's no chance the Packers trade him this year because the draft choices that they would get for him this year, Rodgers would improve by performing well there, as opposed to doing it next year when the teams that would get him would have a draft position much worse because Rodgers wasn't there. It's kind of an interesting take as to why the Packers would never trade him. But let's just wave a wand and say that it would somehow happen. There's no way Denver is better than Green Bay to win this coming year, even with Rodgers going there in a new place that he would have to learn and figure things out and get comfortable in, right? I mean, it's just, that's what's so rare about Brady, is that he just showed up and it happened. I mean, that's another reason why he's maybe driven nuts, because it worked out so well for Brady. But I don't know how repeatable that is, Nate.
Yeah, and even if people are listening and saying, all right, but what about Peyton Manning? What about Peyton Manning? Remember when he landed in Denver? Yeah, but he had that 1 year where he broke the records. He was unbelievable, right? And then that following year, Peyton Manning didn't necessarily carry his team to a Super Bowl. That was that defense. Von Miller and that defense was fantastic. In fact, Peyton Manning, you started to see that age really reveal itself later in the year. I believe Osweiler took some snaps in the playoffs.
Yes, he did.
So for me, I just feel like the best-case scenario is for him to stay exactly where he is. I mean, Devontae Adams had 18 touchdowns last year. You want to go somewhere else and establish chemistry with another wide receiver that doesn't know how you like to throw the ball right out the break when your receivers are running a slant. Or they can't anticipate that out route because they don't know the rhythm of how you toss the rock around. Like, I just don't think that's the case. And then, you know, I mentioned Denver. You're also going to a division where a living monster is. I mean, this dude is the boogeyman with the smile on his face. Patrick Mahomes is fantastic. And if you don't think Patrick Mahomes, after having that procedure on his toe and getting whooped in the Super Bowl, and everybody on his offense that he leans on, including a healthy Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you don't think that he's going to come back and try to light this league on fire? You don't think he's going to come back and try to get the MVP again? So, Aaron Rodgers, is that what you want? Do you want to play in that division and go through that gauntlet in that AFC? Or do you want to stick in the NFC where you are year in and year out a contender, not for the playoffs, but for a Super Bowl?
Nate Burleson, a few more minutes left with the Emmy Award-winning analyst right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Who are we not talking about because we're focused on Rodgers, or we're going to talk about what Russell Wilson had to say about never requesting a trade, and, you know, Deshaun Watson before everything that did go down with him. I mean, we've been focused on so much. Who's under the radar and giving us gonna give us a bit of a jolt in 2021? Best you can tell here in June, Nate.
I'm hearing some reports about Trevor Lawrence and the rhythm that he has with his wide receivers already.
Come on.
And
wow.
I know.
Wow.
Listen, there's something about the underdogs that I identify with.
Okay.
I mean, I was playing in Detroit when I was watching Calvin Johnson light the league on fire, but at the same time, my city was going broke. So I identify with the teams that people aren't talking about.
Okay.
You know, now I hear that the wide receivers, they're piecing together one hell of a group. You got DJ Chark and LaVisca Chenault, Marvin. Just watch out for the Jazz. Like, it's not as much of a rebuild as people think. Another team we're not talking about as much, and I'm really curious to see what Kyle Shanahan is going to do in San Francisco, because I really do give them a pass for last year. They dealt with the most. They had the most guys on IR, and yet and still they were fighting throughout the season. Now you're getting all these guys back healthy, but what's going to happen at the quarterback position? I'm fascinated by that. That Trey Lance selection, even though we kind of thought that Kyle Shanahan had the gut to do it, still, you have Jimmy Garoppolo, who's getting paid over $100 million and took his team to a Super Bowl, and you go with Trey Lance? What does that tell you? That tells me that he's ready to move on from Jimmy G. But Jimmy G didn't get traded, which I thought it would have been a great landing spot in New England if they would have worked that out. But now they're sitting back in a division where Russell Wilson is verbally trying to prove that whole trade fiasco wasn't him. And I think he's also talking to everybody who thinks that Russell Wilson is this stagnant quarterback that might have plateaued when he went to the media yesterday and said, listen, I feel younger, I feel better, I feel faster, I feel stronger, I feel as good as I've ever felt. It's like a dude that thinks he's going to lose his wife. He's like, hey, babe, listen, I went and got the new motorcycle, a leather jacket, and I'm taking these supplements from the black market, and things are going to be good, baby. We might even make some kids this year. I think that Russell's telling everybody, I get it. We're regular season good, and we make the playoffs every year, and we get knocked out. But this year's different. I'm feeling a little bit different, and I want to go get a Super Bowl ring. So that division is really fascinating to me, man. I forget we haven't even talked about Kyler Murray and the Rams. It's just my guy Matt Stafford. Is he going to have a harmonious relationship with Sean McVay? And isn't this the ultimate test of how genius Sean McVay really is? Right? Because we were talking about him when he first got in the league, and it's like, all right, you got a true gunslinger. I'm talking about an old school, grip it and rip it quarterback. Matt Stafford is going to let that thing fly. So the pressure isn't on Stafford or the wide receivers. It's on Sean McVay and the game plan. Mm-hmm. So the NFC West, just like last year, I think could be the most fascinating division.
And then you've got the Browns that I don't think people are kind of paying attention to. Third place schedule, 11 wins. They got a playoff win under their belt. They gave a scare to the eventual AFC champs, and Odell's coming back. I mean, that one.
How about that?
That one's under the radar. And then last one too is maybe the defending champs. You know what I mean? Like, I know Brady came out and said this is different. It's not the same, because he's basically giving everyone a message like, let's not just think we're going to run it back because we got everyone back. I mean, and then there's the opportunity that things can change if you get the right guy too, as we saw. Because we were there. We were there when I was calling Winston and Winston Watson in the booth that day, Nate. And we were there that day, and that if I had told you, we'll put it up on the screen right here of me and you having some fun before the game. But if somebody came up to us and said, by the way, this is where the Super Bowl is going to be next year, and Brady and the Buccaneers are going to win it, we'd be like, what? You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing how things can turn in the league.
If my memory serves me correctly, Jameis Winston started that game off with an interception. I believe it was a pick six.
Yep.
And then he ended it with an interception, pick six.
Yes.
So this taste in the mouths of these Buccaneers fans was just raw. And they're like, we can't do this again. And we kind of knew the writing was on the wall for Jameis. But then Tom comes in and just has one of the greatest, what could have been walk-offs of his career and right off into the sunset. The fact that he's not retiring tells me one of two things. One, that he's addicted to the game. And, I know the word addiction has a negative connotation, but he's addicted to success, and that's okay. And then, two, I do feel like they have a chance of running it back. Like, they brought back everybody. They're re-upping guys. I don't know where they're getting this money from. The coaches are getting extensions. But that does lead me to one last thing before we go. I love talking football with you, Rich. Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. Sean Payton, this is your life. Drew Brees is no longer a Saint. The roster is still solid. I was in New Orleans this past weekend with the wife, and these fans, like, they are ready to win. This isn't, let's hope Jameis can be a bridge quarterback or something. They want to win now.
Sure.
And I do feel like because Jameis Winston will let that thing go too, let's not forget, joke about the 30 for 30, 30 TDs, 30 interceptions. He also threw for 5,000 yards.
He did.
You cannot laugh at that. So Jameis Winston is going to have this offense a little bit more explosive. So as I heard in New Orleans this past weekend with that accent, I'm ready to go, baby.
Nate, really appreciate the time. Congrats again on the Emmy. And let's chat again later on in the summer before the season. I hope to see you soon.
And I appreciate you.
You bet. Same to you. Congrats. That's Nate Burleson, everybody, the Emmy Award-winning studio analyst of Good Morning Football on CBS. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.